get, we do, we have the state standards, the education has to conform to it. We recently had these reviews that the Department of Education was doing in Florida, and these math books, they were doing woke math. And I was thinking to myself, like 2 + 2 = 4, right?
Yep.
It's not 2 + 2 = well, how do you feel about that? Is that an injustice? No, we got to teach the kids to get the right answer. I mean, that's just the end of the day. So we said, the Department of Education said, okay, these are woke books, send them back to the publishers. The media's like, oh my God, they're banning books, whatever. I mean, you can buy them if you want, but they're not consistent with state standards.
That's right.
We're going to make sure that our books are. And so, but you know what happened was, those companies, because we're such a big state, they took the woke out and sent us back normal math.
Yes. Thank you, Governor.
So it's important that the curriculum is good. And then what they're doing in some of some of these libraries, you'll have these like elementary school,
Polk
middle
County.
school, and it's just
We got 16 books that are pornographic in our
not
library.
appropriate. And so parents need to be able to know that and to be able to lodge objections. So we were really, really happy with that. We also drew a line in the sand and said, in the state of Florida, a parent should be able to send their kid to kindergarten without having woke gender ideology.
Yes, yes. Let them be kids.
We're not going to have some first grader be told that, your parents named you Johnny, you were born a boy, but maybe you're really a girl.
Nope.
That is inappropriate to be doing in school.
Yes, it is. Not going to happen on our watch.
Now, as that was moving its way through the legislative process, some in the media didn't like that.
Too
there
bad.
were some in the business community, some companies you may have heard of that didn't like it. And here's the thing, I remember when the legislative session is going on, things are flying everywhere. I mean, it's 60 days, there's this, there's that. The curriculum transparency bill, for example, was we did that and proposed it. We also did a bill I'll talk about in a minute called the Stop Woke Act, which was very important. But the Parents' Rights in Education was going through, and I didn't necessarily know all the little ins and outs of it. And then the media, they start badgering me about this bill. And they're using these phrases and they're echoing the left. And I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute. I know the drill here, okay? They are creating a narrative, and they're lying.
Yep.
So I just need to figure out what they're lying about, and then I need to go and fight back. And so, so I got my staff to go say, okay, what's the deal with this? They're saying all this stuff, whatever. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, okay, they want to die on the hill of forcing sexuality and gender ideology in elementary school? You've got to be kidding me. There must be something more to this. But that's really what it was. They were something there. And so, so I started fighting back publicly about it because honestly, you needed to set the record straight. And if you believe, and it's your position, that these young kids should be sexualized in that manner, you're wrong, but you should have to stand by that publicly.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to skirt the issue. You shouldn't be able to obfuscate. You should have to do that. You shouldn't be able to hide behind a slogan. You should have to do that, and you should have to stand by. But here's the thing, and one of the reasons they go to these corporations is because they know that they can't stand by that. They know parents in the state of Florida will reject that position. So they cannot run for office saying that they're going to do that because we have elderly population. A lot of the elderly, they don't know what the heck any of this is. They're like, this is crazy. So it's not popular. It's not something that people want. So I think they understand that. So what they figure to do is, if we can get a big corporation to do basically the heavy lifting, maybe we subcontract our leftism to Disney, and then they will come and pressure elected officials. And you know what? It was not a dumb strategy, because there are Republican elected officials who cave to big corporations time and time again. And so that's why they did it. And so they do. And so, they get Disney involved in this. And, I told them, I said, you're nuts to get involved in this. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, parents with kids, that's your number one audience. Why would you do it? And I don't think they wanted to. I think that they realized that it was kind of a hazardous thing. But, you had a lot of people, ginning it up and everything. So they decided to come out against it, which honestly is fine. I mean, I'm not, people can take their positions, but a lot of people thought, once Disney came out against it, that somehow that was going to kill the bill because Disney's just too powerful, in the state of Florida. Well, they bet wrong on that. They're doing the narratives, and we've seen this in corporate America before. I mean, remember when Georgia did their voting law in 2021, you had all these big companies, virtue signaling, Delta, Coca-Cola, Major League Baseball with the Ultra game, this is like an attack on democracy. That's what they were saying. They just did Georgia's primary under these new rules, and you had a massive increase in turnout. And so those corporations were following a narrative. They were not following the facts, and they were really helping to distort the truth rather than stand for the truth. So we've seen that before, and Disney was playing that playbook. So, as soon as they did that, I said, fine, but you know what? I've got to go out as a leader and make sure people understand that they do not run the state of Florida.
That's right. That's right.
Going to have our leadership subcontracted out to a corporation with close ties to the CCP that's based in Burbank. That's not going to happen on my watch.
Good job, Governor.
We weren't going to back down, and we knew that was something that was very important. So honestly, at that point, I thought it was kind of over. I really did. So then the legislature sends me the bill a week or two later. So we signed the bill, and I knew the left would have their spasm or whatever, the media. I honestly didn't think the companies were going to say anything again. But Disney puts out this statement saying, it is our mission to repeal parents' rights and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the state of Florida. This is our process. This does not even concern you. For you to be getting involved in that, first of all, I don't think that's consistent with the fiduciary duty that you owe to your shareholders.
That's right.
And the shareholders have taken it in the wallet since all this happened. They lost massive money. But I'm just thinking, okay, that's very aggressive. And again, it's a free country. You can do that. But wait a minute. Okay, that's escalating it against us, right? And then they had these videos that were leaked with these Disney people saying, it's their agenda to inject sexuality in programming for these very young kids. Look, I have a 5, a 4, and a 2-year-old. So maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive about this. But I think parents in this country should be able to have their kids go to school, watch cartoons, just be kids, without having an agenda shoved down their throat. I was not happy to see that. I thought it was not something that a family-friendly company would do. I thought those values were not aligned with where the state of Florida is in terms of parents and children. But it is a free country. You can say these things, but they do not have a right to force us to subsidize their woke activism.
That's right.
And the fact of the matter is they had gotten more subsidies from this state going back to the 1960s than any corporation in the history of the state of Florida. They have their own government. They're exempt from many laws, and they've gotten massive, massive tax breaks. And so my view was, okay, say what you want, but I am not going to have our state's laws put this one company on a pedestal and give them special treatment. Those days are over. And
Yes. Good job, Governor.
And just 6 months ago, no one would have thought this would ever be possible to do. And so we went ahead and, we had the legislature in for the redistricting. We added this, and, we're now in a situation where Disney is not going to have its own government. They're going to live under the same laws as everybody else, and they're going to pay their fair share of taxes.
Yes.